My name is Vanessa Chen, and I'm 34 years old. 2 weeks ago, I came home from a business trip to find my husband's mistress cooking in my kitchen, wearing my silk robe, while my husband explained their new arrangement. Today, they're both living in her studio apartment, drowning in legal bills, while I'm expanding my hobby business from my mortgage-free home. But let me start from the beginning. I met Christopher at a charity gala 8 years ago. He was everything I thought I wanted: Harvard MBA, investment banker at a top firm, the kind of commanding presence that made people listen when he spoke. I was fresh out of design school, working at a small firm, still figuring out who I wanted to be. "You're too talented to be working for someone else," he said on our third date. "You should start your own business." I laughed it off, but he persisted. When we got married 2 years later, he made it a condition: "I don't want my wife working for other people. Start your own design firm. I'll support you." It sounded romantic at the time. Looking back, it was the first red flag. He didn't want a successful wife. He wanted a dependent one with an acceptable hobby. I started Chen Design Innovations from our garage, focusing on eco-friendly packaging solutions. Christopher was amused by my little project, especially when I spent weekends perfecting prototypes or meeting with potential clients at farmers markets. "It's cute that you're so passionate," he'd say, patting my head like I was a child. "Just don't let it interfere with dinner parties." What Christopher didn't know was that I was good, really good. My biodegradable packaging designs caught the attention of organic food companies tired of plastic waste. Within 2 years, I had contracts with major brands, but I played it down at home, letting him believe I was making pocket money while he was the real breadwinner. "How was your crafts day?" he'd ask when I came home from signing 6-figure contracts. "Oh, just tinkering," I'd reply, filing away incorporation papers for my third subsidiary. The truth was more complex. Growing up with a mother who'd lost everything in a divorce because she'd trusted her husband too much, I'd learned to protect myself. Every major asset went through my company: the house, purchased by Chen Design as a corporate retreat; the cars, company vehicles; even our joint accounts were carefully managed. I'd deposit just enough to cover my share of expenses while keeping my real earnings in business accounts. Christopher never questioned it. He was too busy being the big-shot banker, too confident in his superiority to imagine his wife might be building an empire under his nose. He'd introduce me at parties as my wife. "She does some design work," while I smiled and networked with CEOs who were begging for my packaging solutions. The marriage started crumbling 3 years ago when Christopher made senior partner. Suddenly, he was working until midnight, taking weekend trips to close deals, and becoming increasingly critical of everything I did. "You've gained weight," he'd observe over dinner. "Maybe spend less time on your hobby and more at the gym." "The house is a mess," he'd complain about our spotless home. "What do you do all day?" I knew he was having an affair before I found proof. The cliched signs were all there: new cologne, unexplained charges, suddenly protective of his phone. But I was too busy landing a contract with a major retailer to care. Let him have his fun, I thought. I had bigger plans. Her name was Brittany, because of course it was. 24 years old, fresh from her MBA, working as an analyst at his firm. She looked like a younger version of me, if I'd been manufactured in a factory that produced Instagram influencers. I discovered their affair through sheer stupidity on Christopher's part. He used our shared iPad for a video call with her, forgetting it synced to our cloud. I watched about 30 seconds, enough to confirm what I already knew, then went back to reviewing expansion plans for our new facility. Most wives would have confronted him immediately. I started documenting everything instead. Every trip, every expense, every lie. Not for divorce proceedings, I had ironclad protection there, but for something far more satisfying. The breaking point came when I had to travel to Seattle for a major contract negotiation. It was supposed to be a day trip, but weather delayed my return flight. I texted Christopher about staying overnight, and he responded with fake concern about me being safe in a hotel alone. I caught an early morning flight and came home to find Brittany's BMW in my driveway. Walking into my own home felt surreal. Brittany's heels were by the door, designer ones I recognized from Christopher's credit card statements. Her coat was on my hook. The house smelled like the perfume I'd seen him buy for a client. I found them in the kitchen. She was at my stove, making eggs in my cast iron pan, wearing my favorite silk robe, the one Christopher had bought me in Paris. He was at the table, reading his Wall Street Journal like it was any ordinary morning. They didn't hear me come in. I stood in the doorway, studying the scene like one of my design problems. How do you repackage this situation for maximum impact? Good morning, I said pleasantly. Christopher's coffee mug froze halfway to his lips. Brittany spun around, spatula in hand, eyes wide with panic. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Christopher set down his mug with deliberate calm. Vanessa, you're home early. My meeting ended sooner than expected, I said, setting down my bags, though apparently not soon enough. Brittany started to speak, but Christopher held up a hand. The gesture was so patronizing, so typical of him, that I almost laughed. Brittany, he said, give us a moment. She scurried upstairs, to my bedroom, I noted, still wearing my robe. Christopher stood, straightening his tie like he was preparing for a board meeting. I suppose we should talk. I suppose we should, I agreed, pouring myself coffee from the pot Brittany had made. This is terrible coffee, by the way. He launched into what was clearly a prepared speech, how our marriage had been struggling, how he'd found someone who understood his ambitions, how he wanted to handle this like adults. I'm proposing a civilized arrangement, he said. Brittany and I are together now, that's not changing. You have two options: accept the situation and we can all coexist, or leave with what you came into this marriage with, nothing. Coexist? I repeated. In my house? My house, he corrected. I'm the one who pays for everything. Your little craft business couldn't cover the mortgage for a month. I sipped the terrible coffee, thinking about the $3 million I'd paid cash for this house through my company. And if I choose to leave? I asked. Then you get what you're entitled to, he said, which, given our prenup and your minimal financial contribution, is essentially nothing. I'll be generous, you can take your personal belongings and that ancient Honda you insist on driving. The Honda's reliable, I said mildly, unlike some things. He ignored the jab. Brittany's moving in either way. She's already redirected her mail here. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, but the outcome's the same. I'm keeping the house, the cars, the accounts. You can keep your hobby business. My hobby business, I repeated, savoring the words. You know what? You're right. I should pack. His eyebrows shot up. He'd expected a fight, tears, begging. You're agreeing? Why wouldn't I? I shrugged. You've made your position clear. I'll need 72 hours to arrange things. That's very mature of you, he said, suspicious but pleased. Brittany will be happy to hear you're being reasonable. Oh, I'm sure she will, I smiled. One question though, have you added her to your accounts yet? Insurance? Any of that? We're handling all that this week, he said proudly. Full financial merger. That's what real partners do. How modern, I murmured. Well, I should start packing. I went upstairs, past my bedroom where Brittany was probably hiding, and into my office. I could hear Christopher on the phone, likely bragging to his lawyer about how easy this was going to be. The next 72 hours were beautiful in their precision. First, I called my lawyer, Margaret Chen, no relation, despite the name. It's time, I said. Finally, she replied. I'll file the papers within the hour. Asset freeze? Everything in his name, I confirmed. Leave the company accounts alone, we don't want to tip them off yet. Next, I called my CFO. Begin Operation Brittany, I said. We've been planning for this possibility for months. With pleasure, she replied. How scorched do you want the earth? Visible from space, I said. Then I started packing. Not my belongings, those would come later. I packed every single piece of documentation showing that Christopher's name wasn't on anything that mattered. 3 years of financial records proving Chen Design Innovations owned every asset he thought was his. While I worked, I could hear them downstairs, planning their future. Brittany had emerged from hiding, emboldened by my apparent surrender. Their voices carried through the vents. I can't believe she just gave up, Brittany said. I thought she'd fight harder. She knows she can't win, Christopher replied. Without me, she's just another failed designer with a craft blog. Should we change the locks? Brittany asked. After she leaves, Christopher said. Let's not be cruel. The irony was delicious. On the second day, I had movers come, not for furniture, but for my office equipment. Christopher watched, smirking, as I removed computers, printers, files. Taking your craft supplies? He asked. Something like that, I replied. Brittany had fully moved in by then, her belongings mixing with mine in a way that would have been painful if I'd cared. She'd taken over my closet, my bathroom, my side of the bed. She walked around like she owned the place, which she believed she soon would. I love what you've done with the house, she told me, patronizing. When it's officially ours, I'll probably update everything. Your style is a bit dated. design is subjective, I said pleasantly, thinking of the awards lining my actual office. On the morning of the third day, I was ready. My personal items were packed, my office cleared, everything I actually valued safely removed. Christopher and Brittany were at the kitchen table, reviewing their financial merger documents, when the doorbell rang. "I'll get it," I said, knowing who it would be. A process server stood on my porch with a thick envelope. "Christopher Manning?" "That's my husband," I said helpfully. "Chris, honey, someone's here for you." He came to the door, annoyed at the interruption. The server handed him the envelope. "You've been served." Christopher's face went through several emotions as he read: confusion, disbelief, rage. "What is this?" he demanded, waving the papers at me. "Divorce papers," I said calmly, "and a cease and desist order. You're living in property owned by Chen Design Innovations. As CEO, I'm informing you that you have 24 hours to vacate the premises." "This is insane," he shouted. "This is my house." "Actually," Margaret said, appearing behind the process server, "it's a corporate asset, as is the Mercedes in the garage, the BMW MS Hayes is driving, and approximately 94% of the assets you've been claiming as marital property." Brittany appeared, looking panicked. "What's happening?" "What's happening," I explained, "is that you're both trespassing in my company's property, the house, the cars, even most of the furniture, all purchased by Chen Design Innovations as corporate assets. Christopher's name isn't on any of it." But you're just a hobby designer," Brittany sputtered. I pulled out my phone and showed them my company's latest valuation, $8.3 million, 42 employees, contracts with 16 major retailers. "But sure, let's call it a hobby." Christopher sank into a chair, my company's chair. "Technically, the prenup protects separate assets," Margaret confirmed, "which includes MS Chen's business holdings. You're entitled to half of the marital assets. Of course, let's see, that would be the contents of your personal checking account, your 401k, and, oh, that's it. This can't be legal," he said weakly. "Completely legal," Margaret assured him. "MS Chen has been meticulous in maintaining corporate separation. Every major purchase went through proper channels. You've been living in corporate housing, driving company cars, enjoying the lifestyle provided by a business you dismissed as a hobby." The best part was Brittany's face as she realized what this meant for her. "But you said, you promised." "He promised you someone else's assets," I said sympathetically. "Rookie mistake. Always verify ownership before committing." "What about my job?" Christopher asked suddenly. "If this gets out?" "Oh, it's already out," I said. "Funny thing about having contracts with major retailers, they gossip. Your firm's biggest clients are already asking questions about your judgment, something about financial impropriety and ethical concerns." Within 24 hours, they were gone. Christopher tried to fight it, but his lawyer, the same one who'd been so confident about leaving me with nothing, advised him to cut his losses. The fact that he'd been living off my company's success while claiming to support me didn't look good, especially when combined with the affair. His firm put him on leave pending an investigation into whether he'd misrepresented his financial status to clients. Brittany was quietly let go. Turns out sleeping with a senior partner who's involved in a messy divorce isn't great for an analyst's career. They moved into Brittany's studio apartment, the one she'd been so eager to leave for my house. Last I heard, Christopher was working as an independent consultant, struggling to find clients who didn't know about his spectacular fall from grace. Brittany left him within 2 months, moving back to her parents' house in Ohio. I kept the house, of course, redecorated it to my taste. Turns out my style wasn't so dated after all. The master bedroom is now my design studio, filled with awards and prototypes for our latest innovations. The divorce was finalized quickly. Christopher got half of the marital assets, about $47,000 from his personal accounts. I kept my company, my real estate, my investments, and most importantly, my dignity. My favorite moment came during the final divorce proceedings. Christopher's lawyer tried one last time to claim I'd hidden assets. "Your Honor," Margaret responded, "Mr. Manning had full access to all financial records. He simply chose not to look at them. He was too busy dismissing his wife's hobby to notice she was building an empire." The judge, a woman who'd clearly seen this scenario before, smiled. "Petition denied, Mr. Manning. Perhaps next time you should pay attention to more than just your wife's weight." 6 months later, Chen Design Innovations went public. The IPO valued the company at $23 million. I celebrated by buying the building where Christopher used to work, His firm was downsizing and needed to sell. I've turned it into affordable housing for young entrepreneurs, with a design incubator on the top floor. Sometimes I think about that morning in my kitchen, Brittany making terrible coffee in my robe while Christopher explained how I'd leave with nothing. They thought they were so clever, planning their future with my assets, dismissing me as a crafter with a hobby. They learned what my mother taught me years ago: never let them see your real power until it's too late for them to take it. My name is Vanessa Chen. I'm 34 years old. I built a multi-million-dollar company while my husband thought I was playing with crafts. When he tried to replace me with a younger model, he discovered that everything he thought was his belonged to my hobby. Now I sleep soundly in my house, run my company from my office, and smile every time I think about Christopher explaining to dates why he can't afford dinner at the restaurants we used to frequent. Brittany wanted my life so badly she was willing to steal it. In the end, she got exactly what she deserved, the real Christopher, without my money to make him bearable. The best revenge isn't just taking everything, it's letting them think they've won, right until the moment they realize they've lost it all.